FM News Talk 97.1.
On-demand audio.
We're glad to be joined right now by Catherine Hanaway, who, among other things, is a former U.S. attorney here in the Eastern District of Missouri. Catherine, how are you?
I'm well, Mark. How are you?
I'm doing great. I guess you're all rested up now after the primary is over, right?
Well, absolutely. And we had a big event in our house over the weekend. We took our oldest to college at Notre Dame. So a lot of emotions the last 3 weeks.
No kidding. Well, at least you'll get to go down to see some good football.
Absolutely.
I appreciate you giving us some time today, Catherine. I wanted to rely on your expertise in the legal area on this question of either a special prosecutor or what the chances are of someone looking at this and determining that laws have been broken.
Well, your listeners will have to forgive me for just a minute because I want to go through the history of special prosecutors just briefly.
Sure.
It was a position that was created during Watergate when President Nixon had total control of the Justice Department and, in fact, kept firing anyone who wouldn't do exactly what he wanted. And so the Congress put together this procedure by which the D.C. Court of Appeals could pick an independent prosecutor, a special prosecutor, to look into any transgressions by the administration. And so it is a position that has had a great deal of respect and authority. Unfortunately, that law has been allowed to lapse, so it's going to be a little bit difficult to appoint a special prosecutor. But for these very circumstances, where the credibility, the authority, the veracity of the existing administration is being called into question, that's why we created the special prosecutor statute. And in fact, the Clintons way back then were part of the Watergate investigating committees. I mean, way back when it was created, they were all for it. One should definitely be appointed to investigate whether the Secretary of State was essentially selling access through the Clinton Foundation to the United States foreign policy.
And the point is to have someone who is beyond reproach, right? Because in this particular case, nobody's happy unless they're a Clinton supporter with the FBI probe and the Justice Department decision on the email situation.
Well, and now we know that not only was classified information contained in that email and put on an unsecure server, we know that 15,000 emails that were work-related were destroyed. We know that Mrs. Clinton met with only about 150 individuals who weren't related to governments while she was Secretary of State, and over half of them had made substantial contributions to one of the Clinton foundations. So it sure looks like she was selling access. And now even the Clintons have sort of admitted that they think that this is a conflict of interest because they've said if she becomes president, she's not going to take any more. Clinton Foundation won't take any more contributions. I mean, it's like they put a fire sale on, buy your influence now before Election Day.
From a prosecutorial standpoint, what is the law that you're looking at in this case? Is it racketeering?
Well, that's one of the laws that's been suggested since there are a number of different parties involved. And for racketeering prosecution, you have to have the cooperation and coordination of a number of parties. But also just, the good old bribery statutes. I mean, was money paid in exchange for someone using their office to do good things for the party contributing money?
Well, I heard Kellyanne Conway say this the other day, the campaign manager for Trump, that it's about the whole issue is about access. Because if you remove all of this Clinton Foundation from the picture, then these same people would have had no route through which to gain access.
That's right. And it's a lot of people. I mean, it's more than 80 people.
Yeah.
Even if it wasn't such a high proportion of the private individuals who met with her, I mean, 85 people getting meetings in a situation that looks like it was because they made contributions, that raises big question marks about how the foreign policy of the United States was being influenced while Secretary Clinton was in office. And if we have those questions about her being Secretary of State, we already know that Bill Clinton was selling the Lincoln bedroom and selling pardons and all those things. We've been down this path once. So you said you're not sure how much of an impact it is going to have on the election. And somebody else asked me earlier today, don't people think this is just what happens all the time? I cannot remember an instance in the history of the country where a Secretary of State has had a separate entity related to her or her spouse that has been received these huge amounts of money from corporations and from foreign governments. And so even though people think maybe all politicians are corrupt and she's just one more politician, it's worse than that. This is a really egregious case, and it deserves to have a special prosecutor look into it.
Well, I appreciate you giving us some time to talk about that today. On the bigger issue of this presidential race, are you encouraged, as I am, with how Donald Trump has kind of, I wouldn't say he's pivoted, but he's certainly changed his approach a little bit the last week and a half?
I think he has taken a very different approach. Obviously, there's new leadership for the campaign, but also the fact that he is talking about Mrs. Clinton's record. She certainly wants to talk about him, and that's where her ads are headed. She's the one who has a lifelong record as a politician, and we really need to be talking about it so that voters don't wake up the morning after the election or 100 days after the election and say, oh, no, I didn't know that's what I was getting into. I think Mr. Trump has made a great case that we have to get America working again, that we need to secure our borders, that we need to be strong on national defense. But he also needs to, and I think he has started to really tell the story, here's how I'm different from Hillary Clinton, and here's why she's bad for the country.
Good point. Catherine Hanaway, it's always a pleasure. I appreciate your time.
Thanks so much, Mark.
Yeah,
take care.
You have a great day. Thank you very much. Good to have Catherine's position on that. I didn't know the special prosecutor law had expired, but it is kind of ironic that Hillary Clinton worked on the Watergate committee investigating Nixon, and I'm sure she was all for the special prosecutor at that point. And now she's probably wiping her brow and wiping it off on her pantsuit